One of the guys who was hot last week was Chip Hanauer. He won the Gold Cup.
Chip, 1 week ago, you were celebrating a very momentous time in your life, I would imagine.
Very momentous, I think. The 2 Gold Cups that now mean the most to me, I think, are my first one and my 9th one. I had such respect for Bill Munsey, both as a boat racer and as a human being, that to eclipse any mark he would have set really is dear to me.
And of course, lots of attention with that Sports Illustrated article on perhaps one of the greatest drivers of all time, Chip Hanauer. Now let's take a look at the action for Heat 3A. Here's the way they'll line up. It'll be DOC Ray-Ban, lane number 1. Miss Budweiser in lane 2. Winston Eagle takes the 3rd slot, and on the outside, Kellogg's Frosted Flakes.
DOC Ray-Ban leading him down on the inside. The actual pace boat is Mike Hansen and the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes on the outside. The starter looks him over, and there they go. Green flag is flying, and they're off and running. The Miss Budweiser in lane number 2, trying to get the advantage into turn number 1. Boy, he really slams that boat into the turn. Meanwhile, he has to look to his right rear view mirror, and he can see the Winston Eagle. Mark Tate is coming up hard on the outside of the Budweiser.
Whoa, did you see Mark Tate shoot out of there in that lane 2? And he pushes the Budweiser just a little bit faster. Chip will have to put the pedal down, and he's averaging right now near 135 miles an hour. You see that second place boat in the rooster tail of the number 1 place boat here, the Miss Budweiser.
And we remind you, there was damage to the Winston Eagle in that accident that happened in the very first heat out here today. So they have the new wings on the boat, as you can see there, and they're holding strong. But you know, you got to wonder if the driver doesn't kind of think a little bit about what else might have happened on that accident. At any rate, obviously those thoughts are not in the mind of either Chip Hanauer or Mark Tate at this point. Chip Hanauer, incidentally, as he goes into turn number 1, he's really powering that wheel. He's throwing the boat in there. It's a violent reaction.
And you can thank the design of today's unlimited hydroplanes to be able to do that, Dick, because in the olden days, without the canopy or the 5-point harness to retain them, they could be out of the boat.
They really could. The G-force within the boat is pretty great. There you saw the Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. There's the DOC Ray-Ban, driver Mitch Evans. He is now riding in 4th place on the course. The lead boat coming down with the checkered flag waving is Chip Hanauer in the Miss Budweiser, holding on to a perfect record so far today. He has won every event that he has entered.
And if you had the Gold Cup last week with 5 straight heat victories, he's got 8 in a row in the checkered flag department. Winston Eagle 2nd, Kellogg's 3rd, DOC Ray-Ban overall 4th. We'll have action of the final preliminary heat of the day, Heat 3B, with the T-Plus Circus and the Tide after this timeout.
Unlimited hydroplane racing action in Miami, Florida, as we welcome you back. Let's go down and talk to a winner. Chip Hanauer, winner of the last heat.
Well, 3 happy guys down here at the Budweiser dock. And first of all, Wayne Heisinger from Blockbuster, owner of the Florida Marlins baseball team. You've been doing pretty good yourself.
Yeah, but we can't go this fast. I mean, this is terrific.
What about that first corner? You have a problem there, Chip?
Had a big problem. We went into what we call a rudder flutter. The steering wheel just gets ripped out of your hands. I cannot describe the amount of vibration or the intensity. But then I could back down a little bit and keep it under that speed where it hit. So we got through it okay, but it wasn't easy.
What do you do to correct that now for the next final heat, Bernie?
Well, you know the Budweiser crew, they'll get it handled. They'll change the rudders, and it'll be ready to go for him for the final.
Well, as they set to work on the rudders, let's you and I get set for Heat 3B. Now, there are going to be 3 boats that'll be in this heat. The Miss T-Plus in lane 1, Miss Circus in lane 2, and the Tide boat, winner of another heat here today earlier, in lane number 3. And that's the way they come down for the start. You can see the Miss T-Plus trying to get the advantage on the inside. Meanwhile, it's a little cat and mouse game as the green flag flies. George Woods Jr. on the outside trying to take advantage of that outside groove. He doesn't have to slow up as much to ride the boat through the turn. He's going to try to take the lead. He has the lead going into the turn. Let's see how they look coming out of turn number 2. It is the Tide boat. George Woods Jr. is leading. Circus is trying to catch him in the rooster tail on the Tide boat. Now is your leader. He's got to watch for the other challenges. Circus on the outside. On the inside in second place is the Miss T-Plus, Stephen David.
Even if he does win, Dick, he'll get 400 points, and he still will not qualify for the final. He's going to have to run in the last chance heat, where the winner of the last chance heat does make the final field. Now, of course, points are important because the top 3 point getters coming up in Honolulu at the Outrigger Hotel race, they're going to have the old dual shootout, and only the top 3 point getters of the year get the run for that old dual shootout top prize money.
Right now, the Tide crew and driver would feel very good if this boat could take the win in this, though, even though though it won't qualify him for the championship heat, it will give him a good bit of momentum going into that last chance heat. It'll be coming up next. George Woods in the Tide boat, and we've watched that boat get better and better in this race as we have watched it from the start to now. But look at this. Look at the tape flying loose on the T+. Now, Stephen David obviously cannot see that tape. You and I can see it in the camera shot. He's got to be a little bit careful there. That could pop open a hole in the sponson and start ripping it apart.
The T+ crew, hats off to them. They'll put it back together with hairpins, chewing gum, and 200-mile-an-hour tape.
You've got to give him a lot of credit because that boat really did have some damage from hitting the beach earlier in the accident in turn number 1. What a great shot. Looking underneath from stem to stern of that beautiful Tide boat. Another great shot of that funny nose, and that is not really the way the boat's designed on the Circus, but that happened in the first heat when he hit into the back of the T+. That boat, incidentally, is riding without one of the rear tiplet wings, so he's got to be a little bit careful there. I'm sure it affects the handling. That boat has really come back in. We talked about the T+ crew. Hats off also to the Circus crew. They had a lot of damage on it, not to mention the damage they had in the boat last week. There you can see that tape. They call it 200-mile-an-hour tape until they top 300. Then it becomes 300-mile-an-hour tape, and so on up. Right now, though, a boat without any tape on it at all, doing a great job. George Woods Jr. getting the checkered flag and coming home the winner.
Well, here's the way they finish. 1, 2, 3, Tide, Circus, and T+. Let's go down to the winner's dock.
Well, George, I guess it's to those who wait, good things can come.
Oh, I'll tell you, it's been just a thrash for the Tide race team all weekend long. It's been a little bit off the pace, and then I screwed up, had a little bit of a driver error down there and slid right into Steve David's skid fin water in a previous heat, took ourselves out. Now it's going to be a real struggle trying to get into the final.
All right, but the boat ran well, and I think that's got to give you a lot of confidence in the boat as well as in yourself to come out with a win like that.
Yeah, I've got all the confidence in the world in the Tide race boat and the Tide race team, and I'll tell you, we're going to come out here in the consolation heat, and we're going to try to take that and see if we can't get ourselves up in the final and, get some points and put some things on the board here for the rest of the group.
Now let's take an inside look at what makes these unlimited hydroplanes tick with the T+ Performance Corner. This week, we feature driver Chip Hanauer.
You're going to notice that the Miss Budweiser looks different at this particular race, and that's because it's a saltwater race. We have to do everything we can to protect the engine from ingesting salt water. That's usually the most difficult when the boat is struggling to get up on plane, going from stop to up and running. That's because the water comes off the front of the boat and is ingested into this big inlet. So what we've done is we've added this big, long snout to it. That way the water that comes off the front of the boat can't get into the inlet. In a freshwater race, that inlet is right here. All of this effort and expense has gone to protect this, the inlet of the engine. This is the inlet all the way around. As salt water comes in here, it coats the blades that are in this part of the engine. This is called the compressor. It's a series of fans that move air to the back of the engine. If salt gets in there, it immediately crystallizes, adheres to those blades, and disturbs the airflow through the engine. When that airflow is disturbed, the engine overheats and is virtually destroyed.